In a moment of panic, I call a friend. I'm about to give a TED Talk, and I don't know if I have anything worth saying. I feel lost. Your mentor was a wayfinder. You're an explorer. You're lost. That's kind of interesting. As soon as we hang up, I do the bravest thing I know. I look for chocolate. Dark, rich, lots of it. Luckily, there is none. So, I do the second bravest thing I know. I put on my bathrobe and I go to bed. It's 3 o'clock in the afternoon. I sleep long, I sleep hard. And when I wake up, this is what comes to me. There's a real power in feeling lost. We live in a society that doesn't talk much about it. In fact, we do our best to avoid talking about it when we feel lost. We shield ourselves the way we do on a plane when seated next to someone sneezing. You know what I mean. Except in this case, our shield is a fragile veneer. We say stuff like, I'm okay. I know what I'm doing. When in fact, we lay awake at night riddled with anxiety, trying to find our way. We live in a world bloated with information, yet starved for wisdom, trying to find our way. We're connected 24/7, yet loneliness is at an all-time high. We are trying to find our way. If we allow ourselves to feel lost, if we give ourselves permission, there is a raw, unadulterated, gnawing, stomach-churning, heart-pounding power that will push us like intense labor toward a vast horizon. And when I think about vast horizons, I think about my research in wayfinding, years spent with master navigators in the Pacific. I think about their wisdom and I wonder how that wisdom can be applied to our modern world, to the global challenges we face. As we drift across uncertain seas, the application of wayfinding makes perfect sense. And then I think about how their wisdom can be applied on a personal level, and this is what I want to share with you. So for centuries, there have been cultures throughout the world that have navigated by the rising and the setting of stars, the patterns of waves on the sand and in the oceans. This science, which synthesizes seemingly unrelated bits of data, is what's known as wayfinding. Ancient mariners sailed across almost 20 million square miles of the Pacific without the use of instruments or maps, using the science of wayfinding, and all during a time when much of Europe still believed the world was flat. There are cultures still that understand the importance of feeling lost. In fact, they celebrate it because they know that just beneath the surface, something rich and potent is stirring. They know that the point at which the latitude of the mind meets the longitude of the heart is the center point. It is the still point for the wayfinder. It's visceral, it's holistic, and it's bone deep. And it can be that way for us. We live in a modern world that often prizes the mind over the heart. Yet science is discovering what some native cultures have long believed, that the heart is the first point of reference. Its electrical field receives and transmits information to the brain with high-speed intuitive intelligence. As a child, I was drawn to cultures and people who I knew had this deeper knowing, who, like the Hawaiian elders who raised me, were intimately wedded to the natural world. A wisdom so refined that it's often missed by a loud and distracted society. At a tender age, I made a fierce commitment that I would bear witness for the rest of my life to a world that I knew was vanishing. A world where people knew that the most important map of all is the map of the human heart. Courage is defined by the Latin root cor, which means heart. And some say that the meaning of courage is to tell your story with your whole heart. So I want to tell you two stories about wholehearted women. The year is 2007. I'm on a small Micronesian island documenting indigenous wayfinders, and much of my time is spent with the women while the men are taking care of my male crew. And after a couple of days, I realize that except for a small mirror that I have in my bag, I haven't seen any mirrors. Not a mirror on this island. What I do see are 90-year-old women with breasts down to their waist, flirting wildly with my crew. Women unself-conscious of their missing teeth and the size of their waist. They only know themselves as luscious and gorgeous. They are navigating by their hearts. It's 2009, and I am in a poor rural village in India, walking along a dusty road with an interpreter. And we get close to a woman who's squatted on the side of the road, filling a pothole with cow dung. And as we get close to her, I comment on how beautiful she looks. And why would a woman who's doing this kind of work adorn herself like a queen? And without hesitation, she looks up and says to the interpreter in her dialect, "I dress for the divine." These are the moments that reorient me. These are the stories that recalibrate me. They grant me courage to tell my story with my whole heart. These are the women who, like constellations, guide me. Our Western world often follows the wrong stars. We track celebrities as if it's breaking news. It's as if we're following someone else's map to guide our way, someone else's measurements to determine our worth, some fickle criteria like numbers on a scale or in our bank accounts to measure our value. We're being sold a lifestyle when what we want most is a life. This is where wayfinding is paramount, because it will guide you again and again to your true course if you are willing to trust the map of your heart. You don't have to travel to faraway places to discover what's rare and valuable. The greatest expedition you will ever make is to this final frontier. Feeling lost can be powerful medicine because it loosens and frees what we believe ourselves to be so that what emerges is who we really are. And until we are true to ourselves, we offer the world nothing more than a pale imitation of what we might have been. And none of us, not one of us, is here for that. Each time I look into the face of an elder, wayfinders all, I remember who I am. And who I am can never be lost, because within me, as within all of us, is the most sophisticated guidance system ever. All we have to do is remember. If you see wisdom on this face, remember your own wisdom. And I'd like to ask you to stand as you remember. If you see courage in these eyes, remember your own courage and stand for your life. If you sense the presence of compassion in this mentor to his student, stand. We can only see in another what already exists in us. You are the wayfinders. You are the wise ones. You, all of you, are the ones that we have been waiting for.